Now this is a slide of a network. What you're going to see this twice. What you're going to see is this network here, it's a computerized network. Notice that the ping or the energy starts there, and notice how it's spreading through the network. So think of an emotion in you that gets triggered, and how, reflect back how sometimes it just takes you over. That's because the energy of that stimulus spread throughout the whole brain. But also notice that once it spreads its way all the way through, it dampens itself down. So watch it again. So stimulus, and it starts to spread, and the stimulus produces a chain reaction of events where, like, this is the peak of the emotion, and then after the peak, if this were a brain of a person and that person wasn't making anything worse, it's not that you can stop it, but you can keep it, if you're skillful, from perpetuating itself, right? So oftentimes what we're doing, unfortunately, is we keep pinging the network. Something shows up, we don't like it, and we ping the network again. And then it gets a little worse, and it's just like, and you start talking about it. And it's just all of that, the self-making energy that is the truth of how life makes itself, continues on the same track, and you're going down that river, okay? And wherever it goes, it's taking you. What we're trying to do is we're trying to learn how to get ourselves out. There might be rapids in all of the, if you use that metaphor, rapids flowing in the emotion. But if you get yourself outside the river, you can sit next to the rapids, and although it's not tranquil and smooth, being the watcher of that energy is better than being in the middle of it. Okay? That's what we're trying to do. All right, summary slide. Self-making. We do have neurons. It is a physical reality. And in that physical reality, there is causality, meaning causes and effects. We must think what our brain cells think. However, our brain cells, as we sit here right now, however our brain cells have already learned to think, are tuned to think, that's how we will think. All of those actions will produce the pattern of yourself. That's the karma of it. Okay? All that brain cell, every cellular action, every new transmission, that's an action. And you add all those actions together, and it sums up to produce how we think and feel. Now, how we experience that is we don't experience our brain, we experience our experience, right? And that's a strange thing, because the brain is a physical reality, it's objective, but experience is a subjective reality, and we can't find it anywhere. It doesn't exist in this world, because you can operate on your brain, and you can, principle of unfindability again, you can look for your experience in the smallest part. And that's what scientists try to do. You can't find consciousness. You can't find the experience. But the experience is also a real reality that is causal, meaning our conscious intention can act onto the brain and alter the flow of the energy and information. And so this is why I say, if you hear me, and you consciously decide, like right now, I'm done with focusing on the lousy stuff all the time. I'm done with it. I'm going to focus more on beauty, truth, and goodness. That is what I am going to do. God help me. And when I don't, I intend to try to wake myself up really quickly and do something skillful and shift. At least, the least I can do is not make things worse. And if you made that decision, like making the decision right now in your experience is going to stay there somewhere in the transcendent realm, and then it's going to act down onto the brain. When you get and you start focusing, you might wake yourself up. And that moment of remembering, we talked about that moment of remembering, that is only happening because you decided to make a conscious intention in the first place. That's the karma of that. And that's how you change yourself. And so the self, and which is basically, remember I said the self is a story? That story, that meaning, impinges on the neurons. So, the cause of distress and all those distressing patterns is self-making. There's an orientation in a network to fixate on negativities that produce emotions and a narrative that goes along with it. And so the meaning changes the biology, but if you shift the focus of your attention, there's still self-making going on, but the meaning changes. The self, the subjective realm, the experience, acts onto the brain. Okay, good? Does that make sense to everybody? All right, fantastic.